Good evening. My name is Mark Fitzgerald. I am a partner with the law firm of Fox Rothschild. We serve as solicitor for the school district. I would like to make a few brief introductory remarks surrounding this evening's Act 34 hearing involving proposed renovations to Spring City Elementary School. First, I would note for the public in attendance that the Act 34 program description booklet is available this evening for anyone who would like to review a copy of the same. Also, I would note that the agenda this evening can be found on page 2 of the handout, and we will follow that agenda accordingly. I would also like to note for the record that notice of this hearing was advertised in the Pottstown Mercury on February 23, 2024. The Pottstown Mercury is a newspaper of general circulation in the school district. Proof of publication of the advertisement will be submitted to the Pennsylvania Department of Education along with a transcript of this hearing. At this point, I would like to describe the purpose of this hearing. This hearing is being held pursuant to Act 34 of June 1973, which is codified at Title 24 of Purdon's Pennsylvania Statutes, Section 701.1. Act 34 requires that a public hearing be held regarding either the construction of a new building or substantial additions to existing school buildings. The purpose of this Act 34 hearing is to present the proposed renovations and additions to Spring City Elementary School to the residents and employees of the school district, and to provide them with a public forum to express their opinion regarding the project. This hearing is not a public debate. It is an opportunity for the public to learn about the proposed project and for the board to receive and record comments and observations regarding the project. Moving to procedures for public comment, I would note that the board is interested in receiving comments from all school district residents and employees who wish to express opinions about the proposed project. In order for the hearing to be of the greatest value and use of the board, the following procedures have been established. First, residents and employees of the school district were invited to submit written testimony in advance of this hearing. At this point, I would ask Superintendent Mr. Robert Rizzo, to whom the written testimony was to be submitted, if any such testimony was in fact submitted.
It was.
Okay. We would then note and add for the record that written testimony.
Okay.
Okay. And simply you can provide that to me and we'll add it at the end. Additionally, interested persons are invited to make comment at this hearing. Commentary will be limited to 3 minutes per interested person. No person shall be allowed to speak a second time until all parties commenting the first time have been heard. The board will allow public comment and/or questioning until the conclusion of the hearing. Individuals addressing the board should identify themselves by name, address, should state whether they are a resident or employee of the school district, and present their comments or questions. If objections to the project are raised, it would be beneficial if the individual proposed what should be done to change a problem being addressed and how the board might accomplish the suggested change. Finally, written comments will be accepted by the board for a period of 30 days following this hearing until April 17th, 2024. School district residents and employees who wish to have their written comments regarding the project included in the materials forwarded to the Department of Education should mail via first-class mail or deliver such comments to Mr. Rizzo. All written comments should include the name and address of the person submitting the comments, identification of the sender as a resident or employee, and a description of the support or objection to the project. With that, we will now move forward with the agenda. Ms. Jennifer Leone from ICS will take it from here.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I was supposed to, opening remarks were already given, so we're going to skip through Agenda items 01 and 02. Mark Fitzgerald just spoke about the hearing, and I'm going to jump right into agenda item number 3. This was just covered. So as I stated, my name is Jennifer Leone, and I'm a senior program manager with ICS. Here with me tonight is Tim Geider. He is the director of engineering. And we were invited to give a brief overview or history of the project. So ICS got engaged in the Spring City Elementary School project back in 2019 when we were hired to do a facility assessment. Engineering worked with the director of facilities and the facility team to identify deficiencies in each of the school buildings within the district and the associated costs for repair or replacement of those deficiencies. This information was then rolled up into a 10-year capital investment plan or improvement plan that was shared with the district for their future planning purposes. ICS then, on behalf of the district, engaged 2 consultants to perform some demographic studies of the area with emphasis on project projections and enrollment within the school's catchments. Both studies indicated an uptick in enrollment between the years 2022 and 2026. ICS Engineering then performed a building capacity analysis using the Pennsylvania Department of Education's methodology, but we tailored it to incorporate the district's educational goals as well as their preferred and recommended class sizes. And all that data from those 3 studies indicated that Spring City Elementary School was the school that had the most needs. So then finally, ICS, with representatives of the school board and the school district, met on a fairly regular basis to create options to resolve these needs. So this slide is just a summary of some of the demographic information that was received. I just want to highlight the center rows where it says projected. This tells us that between 2022 and 2026 that the district could expect an increase in enrollment of up to or approximately 200 students. This slide is a requirement for the Act 34 submission. The first column just shows all the schools within the district. The second column are the grades associated with each school. FTE is the occupancy of each school. That includes the teachers, the administration, and the students at each school. The size is the parcel size that the building resides on, the year it was built, and then the year that any major improvements were made. So upon completion of the Spring City Elementary School project, this will be updated to show that as being having a renovation and addition in 2025. So there were 4 options generated. Option 1 was to close Spring City altogether and redistrict the students into the remaining elementary schools. This was not a preferred option as it did not address the capacity concerns or the administration's educational goals. Option 2 was to address the infrastructure at the school only. Similar to 1, this did not address the capacity enrollment concerns, nor did it address any of the administration's educational goals. Option 3 was to renovate the existing building and provide additional classrooms. This checked the majority of the boxes. It provided an answer to the capacity concerns. It helped meet some of the goals that the district and the administration had for their educational plan. And it upgraded the building to bring it up to code, therefore improving on all the infrastructure deficiencies. Option 4 was to demolish the existing building and build brand new from the ground up. Much like option 3, this checked many of the boxes, but at a much higher cost. So after much contemplation, the board authorized ICS to move forward with option 3. We have completed our design documentation, our construction documents, and they are currently out for bid. And Devin Bradbury with Schrader Group is going to walk you through some of those design decisions that we made and share some renderings of the building of what the future of Spring City might look like. You're welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for having me here. Again, my name is Devin Bradbury. I'm a principal at Schrader Group, and we're the architects helping the district with this project. So I'll give you a brief description of the project, including a site plan. We won't show floor plans for the purposes of security, but I'll try to describe those. We'll see some renderings, and then I'll go through a series of really fun items, the PlanCon documents. This is the way of the Department of Education tracking all the planning and construction costs for schools across the state. So there's a series of documents that we've gone through that kind of determines the cost of new construction, and this is just new construction we're focused on, not the cost of the full project. And that basically checks new construction costs from throughout the state. So here's a site plan. You can see the existing building is basically remaining in its current location. The only thing, we have additions on the right of this plan, which is actually west, and then we're actually infilling the courtyard space. So that area where it says new high roof above LGI, that's where current courtyard is. We are also building a new canopy at the front entrance and expanding the administrative suite just slightly. And then changes in the site plan. So your current bus and parent drop-off are all through that horseshoe space that goes, that connects to South Wall Street. And traffic really backs up along Wall Street in the morning and the afternoon, and it becomes a little bit of a traffic problem. You do have a secondary access point on the site currently, but it's a very narrow site and it's actually not on your property. So we're building a new access road that is wide enough to fit 2 lanes of traffic, and that is going to be your new parent drop-off space. So parents can come in, they could queue well off of South Wall Street, bring all the traffic on site, and get rid of any traffic problems that you have out on the street. Again, floor plans are not included here, so I'll try to describe this as best as I can. There are floor plans included in the Act 34 booklet for anyone who would like to access those. Right now you have classrooms around the perimeter of the building, including the 4 new classrooms that would be in the new addition. There's an existing administration area that would remain, but that will be fully reconfigured and slightly expanded. Your kitchen as well is going to be expanded to accommodate the needs of the school. Currently, it's too small. You have art and music currently sharing a classroom, and we're going to split those and give those each their own dedicated space. The biggest change, however, is that space that I identified where the courtyard was. That's going to be your RamQuest, your LGI, and your library space. And that's kind of the core of the building. So we're going to expand the roof and give some clear story lights to bring natural light into that space and that core, and that's kind of going to be the hub of your school here. So a couple of renderings. This is the new main entrance. You can see curb appeal was really a problem with the old school, so we've done a little bit of things to kind of improve that. Now you can see a new canopy that extends out at the new entrance. It's raised up slightly with some glass. This is really identifying a new front door to the school, which was a little bit unidentifiable previously. You can also see some new glass and metal panel around the expanded administrative suite that kind of allows a little bit more of a presence and some transparency for the staff inside to monitor the front entrance as people are coming in. Here is just a view from where the new parent drop-off would be. So parents can drop off their kids right at the corner here, and then they just walk towards the front entrance. As we go into the building, this is the new front lobby. So quite different than what you currently have in your school. Brand new finishes, a raised roof and ceiling space, a lot more welcoming of a space, and no longer circulation through your cafeteria, so there's no more entry point that gets around the building through this main entrance. This is a typical classroom, and this classroom is going to look the same whether it's new or old. So all of your renovated classrooms are going to look exactly the same as your new construction classrooms. So they're getting all new floor finishes, new ceilings, new cabinetry, new furniture, new display boards, everything brand new. You won't be able to tell it's a renovation. This is the space I was describing earlier where we are raising the roof inside the core of the building, bringing in natural light at that high level. This is the RamQuest classroom, so it's meant to be a flexible instruction space, mostly for projects that are happening, kind of a more industrial type look. This would be your new library. Again, all new finishes. You can see the natural light through this space as well. New furniture. There's a reading nook attached to the side there. Brand new space, comparable in size to your current library. This would be the large group instruction space that's in between the RamQuest and the library. And it's meant to be a flexible space where you can bring multiple classes out. You can have a lot of one-on-one learning out there. You can do small group instruction space. There's a lot of opportunities to use this space in many different ways. This is the last image. This is our renovated cafeteria space. You can see, again, brand new finishes, a much improved cafeteria kitchen area with a serving line, a lot more welcoming than your current cafeteria is. So that's the end of the fun stuff. Now we get into the PlanCon documents. And all of this information is in the Act 34 booklets that are available on the website. So PlanCon documents are the methodology for which the state is tracking all the construction costs in the schools. So we've had to fill out these series of documents. What you see here, this $4,006,348, that is the new construction cost for the new construction of this building only. That includes the building, site costs, fees, and FF&E, which is furniture and fixtures. The total project cost, which was identified in our cost estimates, is $17,494,459. What we have to do then is extract the site costs out of that original number. So we have to take that $4 million number, remove the site costs from that to get the actual new construction for new buildings, because we're not worried about site costs in this case. So we're going to subtract that $1,303,557 out of the $4 million number. And that brings us to our Act 34 maximum building construction cost of $2.702791. That is the maximum building cost for the new construction portion of this building. And that's all the state really is concerned about at this point. The second number down there below that is if we exceed that cost by 8%, we would have to do another Act 34 hearing. Last slide here, we have what's called the aggregate building expenditure. And basically for grades K through 4, there's an elementary capacity that was formulated from all of these documents that is 224 students. There's a maximum cost per pupil limit, which is $24,073. That is defined by the state each year. So we just multiply 224 by that $24,000 number. You have a maximum aggregate building expenditure of $5,873,812. The last thing we check is, do we need a referendum for this project? Since our original maximum building construction cost was $2.7 million, it is less than that maximum aggregate building expenditure, so we do not need a referendum for this project. And I will pass this along to Mr. Fink to discuss the financing alternatives.
Good evening. I'm Jim Fink. I'm the Chief Financial Officer. We're going to talk a little bit about the funding of the project, or different ways we looked at to determine where the best scenario would be. So we looked at cash and short-term loans, general obligation bonds, local authority, and state public school building authority financings. Our analysis, which we did in conjunction with Mr. Murray at Stifel Financial, showed us that the cash and short-term bank loan were not feasible due to we don't have essentially the cash in the bank to pay for the project, and the high interest rates that would be needed to do the short-term financing. So what that left us with was the general obligation bonds, the local funding, and the school, state public school building activity. So I'm going to flip to that slide, which compares the three of those. This table shows the general obligation, the local authority, and the SPSBA, with the general obligation coming in about, on an average basis, about $100,000 less per year in debt service than the other two options, which makes it the most feasible option. The reason behind that is because the local authority and the SPSBA offerings are considered revenue bonds, and they're going to require a higher yield than the general obligation bonds. And as we discussed in prior discussions, the general obligations, because of the size, would be bank rated, which would do two things for us: lower yields and give us the opportunity to refinance sooner. So when I look at those comparisons, and then we also have to look at the impact on millage. So right now, the one millage point is about $1.3 million. As we just discussed over here, we're at about a little over, about 1.7, call it. So we know then that our average is going to be, actually that number is not correct. Let me change that. The average is 1.32. So where you see that 3.5 number, it should be 1.32. That's the number of mills that would take to achieve that 1.7. So, but we've also discussed in the past that in the 25-26 school year, we reach another debt cliff, which in the end will not require this project to impact the budget in that way. The last thing that I want to show you here real quickly is the two tranches of general obligation bond debt that we'd be looking at. And this is the first one. This one we actually closed this past fall, which was just under $10 million. Again, a bank-rated, lower interest, earlier refinancing offering. The second one that we would do once we decide that, or once the board votes and decides if they do that they want to move forward with the project, would be the balance of the tranche at about $7 million more. Again, that would be a bank-rated offering. Again, 5-year refinance instead of 8 years if it were over that $10 million threshold. And the debt cliff that we're facing now will cover that. Mr. Fitzgerald.
We have entered the public comment phase of the hearing this evening. I had mentioned at the start that comment will be limited to 3 minutes. I don't know if we have our lovely public comment shot clock that we could utilize. That would be great. So if there are members of the public who desire to speak on the project as presented this evening, this is your opportunity to do so. You'll just state your name, whether you are an employee or a resident of the district, your address, and your comment. I'm not seeing any comment for this evening's hearing. That would then close our public comment section. Are there any comments that the board desires to make before we close the hearing? Okay. Then with that, we are closing the Act 34 hearing at 6:55 p.m.